Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If the setup is familiar, it is only because I'm filming this video right after the other one. If you have not seen the other video, I'll leave it up here. You can go watch that if you are interested. But in this video, I'm gonna be talking about my favorite authors. Of course, first I need to give you a unnecessarily long backstory, so here it is. I only started reading 2 years ago. It's actually not even been 2 years. In January, it's gonna be 2 years exactly. So I haven't read that much. I guess this could be a nice video for people who are new to reading, just like I was like 2 years ago. First of all, my taste in reading is not romance, sci-fi, dystopian, not teenagery stuff, three-dimensional characters. I'll leave it at that. If you are looking for smut, teenagery, like banter, romance, I'm not the person to give you recommendations on that. If not, welcome, let's be friends. I'm gonna start with Emily Henry because basically she writes romance, but I would not categorize her work as romance because I guess technically it is romance because in romance book like people get together by the end of the book, and yeah, that is technically what it is. But most of the other romance books I read had like 2D characters, like no friends at all, and either like the main character had like a couple friends that only appeared when they are needed for the plot, and the love interest had no friends at all, and like anyway, stuff like that. Like I don't like that. And Emily Henry does the exact opposite of that. She gives personalities to even like fourth character. That character is not even integral to the story, but you will know enough about them to feel like that is a real person. That person exists in real life. That is how her books have felt, and I just love that. And all the main characters usually have real life problems. The other day I was reading, by the other day I mean in the summer, I was reading Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. It is so cringy, I can't even, like it is I need to do a video about how cringy that book is actually, because I did not even finish. It was that cringy. I did not even finish that book, but maybe for a video I could get through it. Maybe in there, the main character, I don't know how to explain it, but like I'm trying to find a way to explain it better, but like she had difficulties in her life, but they got solved magically all the time, even like in like 75 pages that I read. It wasn't a big problem to start with. Like she had a problem, like financial problem. Let's talk about that. How are we why are we focusing on all the other stuff that are way less important for a human to survive? Oh my god, it was not good. Anyway, okay, I decided I'm gonna read that book and doing an analysis and telling you how bad that book is, and I'll do it for the trend that you know I did it so you don't have to. I'll do that. Anyways, enough about that. Let's move on to my next author, V.E. Schwab. I've said this before, when I don't like something, I can talk about that thing all day long, about how bad that is and like why that's so bad. But when I like something so much, I'm like lost for words. Like I am trying to explain why I love V.E. Schwab this much. I am struggling. I have read Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, Galen. Wait, that's just it? I have read only 2 books by V.E. Schwab, and I will not let that stop me from calling her my favorite author, because those 2 books that I read was so good, like so good. I will also give you one example with comparison to the book that I hate. So in Gallant, the main character is a 11-year-old mute girl. She can't talk. There's a book that I read which is a romance, and the love interest is a mute boy. I'm gonna call him a boy because that is how the author referred to him the grown man. Anyway,
I need to calm down.
okay, I've been talking about this for so long. I have like 30 pages of notes about Archer's Voice, the other romance book. I'm gonna have to make like 3-hour long rant video about that book because I hated that book so much that I read it for the second time so that I could point out the bad writing so that you don't have to read it, okay? In that book, the main character was like, oh my god, oh my mute boy. First of all, what? Second of all, what? In comparison, in Gallant, I'm gonna read it from the quotes. She's talking with someone in the scene and obviously she's signing. And Edgar sees Olivia is the mute girl, staring at him, hands raised to ask about Matthew and the house, but he stands and turns his back. She hates that he can do that all he has to do to silence her is to look away. This is how you write about people who can't speak. Anyway, it's so good. It's so good. And let me just read you something else. I have my notes here. I'm gonna read something other like random. Whenever she reads the final pages of the journal, she pictures her mom backing away toward the edge of a cliff, step after step after step, until the ground is gone, and so is she. Tell me that's not a good writing. Okay, I will fight you on that. Next author I'm gonna talk about is Neal Shusterman. I have not shut up about the trilogy since I started reading that. This is like Arc of a Scythe, and the writing, oh my god, the writing, it's so cool. The world is so cool. First of all, I'm not talking about the book itself, but I'm using the book and the world to describe how the author is writing, and if that makes sense. The world is built so cleverly and everything makes sense in my opinion. The fact that the author created God, made it not human, made it so that it's not corrupt, it is just, you just have to read that trilogy. It is so good. It is YA to start with, which I don't like. Like, I don't like when the main characters are teenagers. Like, what's the point? They acted mature enough. They didn't have to be teenagers. But them being teenagers did not hinder anything for the storyline, so I'm fine with that. The only thing that I didn't like was the author used a cheap way of presenting the villain. I don't want to say much because it's gonna spoil the second book. I didn't like what happened with the villains. That's the only thing that I didn't like. I feel like it was not original, you know? It was a cheap way of like dealing with the situation, but even though that happened, I can like turn a blind eye to that because the rest of it was so good. And actually there's one other thing that happened that I didn't like. The writing was so good that I don't mind the unoriginal plot lines. It's fine. I've read so much worse original writing. I'm fine with unoriginality as long as the writing is good. The next author I'm going to talk about is Freida McFadden, but I have to admit that her work is not like, wow. Her work is good enough to enjoy fun times, you know, have fun with your time with her books. Turn your brain off, do like house chores or do your whatever and listen to the book. That's what I did for all of her books, and I enjoyed all of them. There is not singular book that I did not like from her. I guess that would make her one of my favorite authors. Saying that, I have to admit that her work is not like extraordinary. Like how I talk about Neal Shusterman and Emily Henry's writing, I don't think like that about her writing, because I don't think it's like whatever, you know, it's just like whatever. You don't use much brain power. She is so like low-key, enjoy your time. That is why, like, I've read like 10 plus books from her, maybe. I used to add everything to my Notion. I have read, oh my god, I have read 13 books by her. I can show you. All of the books have 3 or 4 stars, and the 3 stars are also like 3.5 stars. The other thriller writer that I actually love her writing is Feeney. and I have read like 3 or 4 books by her. Reason that I like her work more is that you actually have to use brain power with her stories, because when you read her work, I've talked about this before, when you read her work, you're reading something and you have this whole picture in your mind, and by the end something happens and you have to look at it again, and it's all like you did not, like, you were misled to think about the things in a different way. By that revelation, you have to look back again and everything is different, and it makes the story so much more interesting. It happened also with Riley Sager's book, the last one, the book with the house on the cliff. That one, I love that book so much. What I have read by Alice Feeney all has that element in it, and it just makes the book so much better. That is why she's my favorite author, but I actually need to read more from her. I do want to read from different authors so that I get to experience different writing styles and all that, but I also want to read more from my actually favorite authors. But that is the dichotomy that I have to live with. So I also want to make a recommendation video for non-readers to what to start with and what got me interested in reading, because when I started reading, my first ever book was so fucking boring, so boring. I don't want anybody else to go through that. So now that you know what I like, if you liked all the things that I just explained, if you like that, you will like my recommendations if you're a non-reader. Yeah, stay tuned for that one. But yeah, other than that, follow me on my Instagram. I'm most active there, and like and subscribe and share and comment and do all of that. Help me with the algorithm. And yeah, thank you so much again for staying until the end. I will see you in my next video. Bye.